All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back. Welcome back to church, everybody. Hope you had a good week. Hope all your dreams are coming true. And I hope you keep your eyes off the news. No matter how hard I try. It seems like I keep seeing something in the news. I'll be chilling, I'll be at work, I'm making jewelry, fixing jewelry, practicing here and there. I'm making my music, I'm focusing on whatever music I'm trying to, tune into at the time. And no matter what, if I open anything, I'm bound to see something that's in the news. I don't agree with everything Kanye's been saying, but I do agree with what he said in, what was that called? The Runaway movie, the full-length movie. He says, "First rule in this world, baby, don't listen to anything you see in the news." Honestly, I have tried to live by that a couple of times, but no matter what I try, the news does not escape me. Especially when it's some big news, somebody will bring it up or ask me like, "Hey, this happened. What do you think?" I don't know. I take a second, form my own opinion, and then I'll let it be known. But yeah, last week was kind of brutal. I guess part of before the last show and in between, it's been a lot of plane crashes. I've been seeing a lot about a bunch of different plane crashes. There was a video I saw it was a reel, but it was a pilot about to land somewhere, I think. Yeah. And he's talking to air traffic control and he just says, my co-pilot just jumped out of the back of the plane. It looks like a full, commercial flight, 100 plus people. And the air traffic control guy's got to keep it so calm and serious the whole time. He's like, "Oh, what? He did what now? My co-pilot just jumped out of the plane. He just ran out the back." Okay. And then what do you need from us?" "Nothing. I'm going to need you to go and check the area that I just called that in over after I land, and you'll probably find a body because the guy just jumped out." It seemed like it was very shocking even to him, Nobody expected it. Who knows what that co-pilot had been going through. But he had probably been planning that for a while, He had a great week, and he was like, "Yep, this is the last one. I just put 300,000 on Kanye to not say he's a Nazi next week, and it's not looking good." No, we wish him well. I have no idea what that poor pilot must have been going through. And it's been mostly small planes I've been seeing that fell down or had random accidents. That one in Philadelphia for sure looked like some kind of bomb or something. That was insane. There was one in Florida that landed or crash landed like right off a highway. The people ran out immediately. It's just been a bunch of crazy things. And, I'm planning to go back to Romania for Easter, the week after Easter this year. And it's just giving me the shakes just thinking about it. I try to, avoid the news and do. And then next thing I know, I'm scrolling through reels and bam, another one. Bam, another one. What does Emerald say? Bam. Yeah. So that's been pretty predominant in the news, Trump raised tariffs, which means eggs are going to be more expensive and probably clothes coming from China, I believe. I think they raised tariffs on us too, 15%. That whole tariff financial sector political game is ridiculous, But I guess it kind of makes sense if, they want more things, everything from eggs to clothes to start being produced in America more and more. I understand that. I get the point. But, the other countries are going to end up taxing us. And if we don't actually build some factories for eggs and clothes or whatever, we're going to be getting taxed on too, it's going to end up just costing the low income, base level consumers. And that's sad, But rich people will never see that. And I'm sure the president might hear about it and feel bad for half a second. Oh, maybe we should do something about that. If he has a heart. But besides that, I don't know how or why I've been heavily on quantum physics and UFO shit in the past week. It's been popping up, and I'll be trying to watch a podcast or something, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. It's not going. I'm trying to get through my work and shit, and I'll always have something blasting my ears. And for some reason, the podcasts weren't hitting, and a lot of recently dropped videos were coming up about this guy who invented the computer chip. Not the computer chip. It might have been the precursor to the computer chip, but some kind of small chip. I think it was, the precursor to the GPU. He also invented the first tablet and touch screens. Crazy smart guy. Federico Fagin. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but I think that's his name. That's what I read it as, at least. Federico Fagin. Faggin. I'd highly recommend you look up his stuff. That interview he did within the last week, he might have done 2. I watched at least 4 hours of this man talking. And it was not bad. Apparently he came up with some new theory of everything. And it started with the base of him trying to build neural networks in the 1980s. He was trying to figure out how to actually make a real neural network, not what we have right now. And he said he kept getting stumped, and he ended up stuck at the question of, how do I get these machines essentially to feel? He was trying to find a way to relay the feeling of human consciousness describing or feeling something through electricity. He was I think it's impossible to find a way to translate feeling and emotion, the qualia of life, into electricity and electric signals that these machines will ever be able to interpret. And then honestly, his talks on AI made me feel a lot better about the future of AI, because he was saying it's ridiculous that you see all these people in the news and, online talking about, oh, AI is going to replace us. It is us. The only way is to merge with the AIs. As a man who was, essentially almost inventing it, he said he has no idea how that could happen. It's ridiculous, because even if an AI spits out the most beautiful and poetic or whatever answer, 10-page research document answer to something that would take somebody, 10 years to compile, the AI has no way of telling if that thing is good. The only way the AI will know if what they spit out is good is if they have a human input to know what's good. And the only reason they're as far along as they are today is because of all the humans they've had basically judging every prompt and, giving it a rating. So that definitely made me feel a lot better about, our potentially incoming robot overlords, which, if they are going to come regardless, we welcome them and we wish them well. What can you do, if the AI overlords are imminent anyway. But seems like Federico Fagan had some good points on it from somebody who was deep in the field, you know. It doesn't make sense. He said, best case scenario, they will be something that will be very beneficial to mankind. You know, they could help us basically figure out how to create amazing new innovative medicines that we might have not been able to create for 20, 30 years out. And that is definitely promising, and there's a lot of really good applications, you know. The only fear is that it does become something that you can use for something like that even, and the wrong country gets it, and instead of developing a medicine, they try to use it to develop a new bioweapon, you know. A good Elon quote from this interview I saw was, the guy was asking Elon if there's any chance that we could have immortality and, you know, that we could fix the problem with aging. And Elon made a very good point. He said, I don't know that you want to fix the problem with aging. I mean, think about it. How long do you really want Kim Jong-un to live? Because he's going to get it first. There's no if, ands, or but. He's going to get it first. People like that with retarded money who are retarded are going to get it first. I mean, since I first heard about AI replacing any amount of the workforce, all I've been telling people to think about is, you know, there's a lot of countries in the world that are ran by a very small select group of people. Even if they're being funded by, you know, some like Rothschilds or something. These small dictatorships and big dictatorships, you know, mostly any monarchy or dictatorship where people don't really want to work because they don't support anything that their so-called government is doing. Pretty soon they won't have to work. It'll be like, oh, well, you can do like some of these things that we don't have AI doing and robots doing. And if you don't, you can starve. But we need the population to stay up in our country. You know, we don't want everybody to leave the country and leave only the ruling class and a bunch of fucking soulless robots around. So we're going to block the borders, make sure you can't leave. And if you don't want to work and do what we want you to, boom, you know, you can just starve. And that's more of my big concern with automation and accelerating all this shit, is that a lot of people, especially in developing countries and the developing world, the third world, they're not even going to see this coming. They don't believe in it. They don't really have any. They might have an inkling, you know. Kids have phones all over the world, and kids hear shit and talk about shit all over the world. But for a lot of people, it's going to hit, and not in the right way. Just because at the end of the day, the dictators want what they want. They need more production. They need more productivity. And what better way to cut costs and increase productivity and profit than to reduce the need for a workforce that, you know, cares how much you push them, needs to eat, needs to go to the bathroom. There's no chance with any of these robots and automatons, if they're working right, you know, to ever fuck up, want to stop, or do anything, or even have a thought that's against the regime. And that's really the big fear with AI. But back to Federico. Federico has this new theory of everything, partially new, you know. I don't know how new it is. It's new to me. But he said that it's sort of based off of, and watch the video for yourself, but it's sort of based off consciousness is fundamental. And in quantum physics, everything is kind of like a bunch of like axioms and like forces and things acting upon each other to create certain events, you know? he's saying that consciousness existed before humanity. There's some form of consciousness that's always active in the universe. And it's like the same thing as the ones and the zeros is what he was trying to relate it back to in computers. There's only a 1 and a 0, and you are essentially the 1. The universe is the 1, and the 0 is the lack of everything. It's simple to understand. It's a very binary state. We exist, we don't exist. And he's saying that even in the creation of the universe, there almost has to be some fundamental consciousness. And I'm not going to go too deep into it because I am not a quantum physicist. I am not a quantum computer. But I love quantum physics, and I love trying to pay attention hard enough to actually be absorbing some of the content to where, I'm starting to get a taste for quarks and leptons and gluons and shit. And I don't know why, but it's very exciting to me. After a world of bullshit and a bunch of crazy shit that, you never want to see again or deal with again, learning a little bit about quarks and leptons and the axioms of the universe can sometimes help your brain calm down, The universe is a magical place. But yeah, the Federico videos were super sick. I mean, I highly recommend you guys look him up. I don't want to, sell the sauce without selling the sauce, but muy bien. Es bueno. Mucho calor. And I don't know. I'm gonna keep up to date on that as I can, because I saw that he's been on like he's been on I think like 10 podcasts in the last year, but he's been on like 3 to 5 just recently. He's going on a tear. I think he wrote a book. And I think he was also talking about, I watched this, what is his name? Bledsoe. Something Bledsoe. Chris Bledsoe. And I watched 2 videos on Chris Bledsoe. He is a man who was a builder in North Carolina, and he had some like insane alien experience. So he had been going through a bunch of things, and his company was like failing. I think it was during like the economy crash around 2008, economy crashing around 2008. He had some going on, and he had like a group of builders that had just finished some like great job. They got like a bunch of deals since like the housing market was collapsing. A bunch of stuff needed rebuilding. So he was helping with that. They did a job. The crew came back and it was early. So he's like, you know what? Let me take you guys fishing. Everybody loves fishing. And so they all went out to like a lake that was nearby his house. I think he was saying he stayed in North Carolina near Fort Bragg. Right. And they went out to the lake. They built a little campfire. Everybody was having fun. All the guys are fishing. Chris said he's not really much of a fisherman, so he wasn't really into fishing. He told the guys, hey, I'm going to go up like by these rocks or walk out like into the forest a little bit, and I'm going to meditate up by some rocks. So he leaves. He goes to meditate by the rocks. He's gone for what he feels like is about 20 minutes. This motherfucker was gone for like 4 hours. And he said that what happened while he's at the rock, he like looks up and he sees these like 3 glowing orbs, like orange orbs. And they start like getting closer and closer. And They get like crazy close. Oh yeah, before the orbs, he was like, while he was walking up towards the spot, he said he could like hear something walking in the woods. And now he's been a hunter since he was like 5 years old. He said he shot a deer for the first time when he was 5 years old, and he got shot like in the chest by a shotgun on accident when he was 10 years old. He said he's been like hunting his whole life. He could read the fucking forest floor, like a book. So he said he hears something like walking as he's walking up. He hears something shuffling in the forest. Sounds like feet or something. And he keeps like trying to see it, and he doesn't see anything. He's not sure because it kind of sounds like, not an animal. And he said he kept like, he would crouch, and he would look under to try and like get under the tree line, like through the shrubs or whatever. And he couldn't see anything. Until he got to the rocks and he saw those like glowing orbs, and they started like dancing around him and shit. They leave. He like gets back to camp and he sneaks up on everybody, hits them with the, "Hey, what's up, guys? You'll never believe what the fuck I just saw." And the guys are looking at him like they seen a ghost. They're like, "Bro, where the fuck were you? What the fuck is going on?" He's like, "What are you talking about? I was up there meditating. I saw some crazy shit." And mind you, he's not realizing that like it was daylight, now it's dark. Or it was dark and now it's really dark. They're like, "Man, you've been gone for hours. What are you talking about? Fuck that. Where have you been?" Like, and he's trying to like explain it for a second. He notices that his son, Chris Jr., I kept thinking, if you watch videos of this guy, every time he says Chris Jr., he has like such an accent. He's like, Chris Jenner. I'm like, bro, are you saying Chris Jenner or Chris Jr.? So that's something you got to realize, is he keeps talking about Chris Jenner. And I got to go find Chris Jenner. They told me that he had went out by this cul-de-sac to where like the path starts to lead you towards the lake, and like I was on this opposite side where in between the lake and that where the rocks were, and I went to the cul-de-sac and I started going that way yelling for Chris Jenner. I was looking for him, and he said he ends up like walking up on him, and Chris Jenner's just like frozen, just shocked. And he's like, you could see the shock on him. He started crying. He's like, as a parent, you would never want to see like your child having just experienced complete shock. My cousin found her dad dead in the house. He like had laid down to take a nap, and he had a heart attack when he was 40, and she was like 17 or something. And she like went to check on him, and she found the body. There was nobody else in the room but them. So Chris Jenner had this face of shock on him. And the dad's like, "Well, what happened?" He's like, Dad, why did you leave me? Why did you leave me? What are you doing? And he's like, "I didn't leave you, son. I was hardly gone 20 minutes. Oh, my God." He's like, "No, Dad, you were gone for hours. I wouldn't have came and found you if you were only gone for 20 minutes. Crazy. So they end up getting back to the camp, and Chris Jenner's just like freaking out, like, "Dad, I just want to go home. I don't like this shit. Fuck this shit. This is not it. Whatever this is, not it. Please take us somewhere safe." And apparently while they were chilling at the fire, he was trying to explain what he saw. His son was explaining what he saw. Apparently, old Chris Sr., older Chris, he thought that it was some sort of like divine presence. He felt good around the lights and shit. It was kind of creepy when something was following him in the woods. But he didn't think much of that. He felt good about the whole thing overall because like I said earlier, he was talking about how he had been going through a bunch of things. He was like worried he had to sell the business. And then all of a sudden this shit happened and he, felt different after. I don't know. So Chris Jr., Chris Jr. said he saw some like literal little gray men, like aliens that had red eyes. And he said, like, when they were looking at him, like, it was like he was frozen. It was like there was one that was like kind of observing him, and then there was one that was like staring him down. And he felt like it was almost like that stare down was like holding bro in place, like just frozen, you know? And that was probably what was really more shocking, you know, the like complete helplessness type shit. So the dad was like, yeah, I feel you, son. But I don't think they're bad. They didn't hurt you. They didn't do nothing. They were just observing. Let's make the best of it or something, you know? Because apparently the lights were like freaking them out while they're like at the campfire. The lights came back and like all of the men saw. There's like a documentary on this, I think it's Area 52 podcast. They went out there to this guy's land and like they interviewed a bunch of the people who were there with him, like his construction workers. And they're all like super country, like, you know, down to earth people. And they're just like, man, I would not believe this. I don't believe this shit, but I saw it. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. And, you know, Chris can summon these things now. Like, it's a thing. Apparently, after the fact, they like drove home. It was like a crazy drive home. Everybody's freaking out to get dropped off first. They see some more shit on their way home. And, you know, he's had a couple more events since then. And I guess somehow he's found a way to like channel it. Or, you know, he says that his thing, he was a bishop, I think. I think he was a bishop at a church, Protestant. So Protestants are super strict, anti all that shit. He said he would have never believed it. He would have never spoken on it if it ever was a thing that was just made up. Because the Protestant church fucking reviles that shit. They hate it. And he said even when he tried to explain it to them, they were looking at him like he was crazy. But things kept happening. The orbs, he saw like this like Saxe woman type figure. It's just some like beautiful translucent figure. He saw some like translucent little like alien boy that like would speak to him like telepathically, and like he looked like a child, but when he spoke telepathically it would be like a deep voice, like you know, but not bad, just like, hey, how are you, Chris? I missed you. We're here to help you. I hope you're okay. And in this documentary, he's saying that, like, he's not sure how, like, whenever he does interact with them, whenever something weird like that would happen, he would kind of just, like, you know, get into, like, his holy mode or, like, the God is great, God is good type vibe. And it would attract them more. And it would basically, like, you know, be like he was setting the tone for like a peaceful vibe and like, you know, a holy setting essentially. And they would help him. He said that like he had Crohn's disease for a really long time. And after one of his encounters with one of these things, he never had anything happen again. After, I think he said it was after the first time he met the woman. They talked. And they had like some weird little event. You can look it up. Chris Bledsoe, woman. And apparently it's from that day on after, he stopped taking his medicine. He never had any problems, no relapses or whatever. And he just bounced back. Crazy, right? And he said that like after a while of like this shit happening, government agencies started coming. He's talked to every government agency. He said like after a while he asked them like, why are you guys bothering me? Like, why you guys want to bother my family and make my life so difficult? Like, what is going on? And he said that all he was told is that we see them too, and we've noticed them around. And there's a lot of stories about these things, but they refuse to communicate with us. We don't know why, but they don't want to talk to us. So if you're willing to, you know, not say anything about what we may say to you, we're willing to, you know, keep monitoring and try to help the situation as best as we can, just so we can gather some data. It was all very interesting. You know, I've had a interesting week. My homie has been super busy, so we haven't been getting on Warcraft, and I've been focusing on finishing up my album. It's posted, it's uploaded, it should be out soon. Please and thank you, BB Angel 2025 on all platforms, all digital streaming. Come on. We about to get physical copies. You can listen to my shit in the Philippines, you can listen to it in China, you know. But I hope you guys have a good week, and I'll be back next week. Bye.